Hey, quit staring at my boxes! Only 50% of you guys are subscribed to the channel. And if you guys want me to buy more boxes this month, I suggest you do so.
There's one company that evoked more nostalgia than any other. That, of course, is Nintendo. It continues to publish and develop some of the most popular video game franchises in the world, and
Nintendo peaked.
Competes among the big three to this day.
This video is aesthetically
the evolution
pleasing.
Of Nintendo. Nintendo's origins can actually be traced all the way back to 1889 when it was founded by Fusajiro Yamauchi as Yamauchi Nintendo. Mr. Yamauchi started off by producing handmade Hanafuda, which is a type of Japanese playing cards. In 1959, Nintendo, which changed its name to Nintendo Playing Card, entered into an agreement with Walt Disney to use the Disney characters on their cards.
No way!
A few years later, the company's name was shortened to just Nintendo.
To playing card.
With nobody being 100% sure what the word Nintendo actually means, though it's thought to loosely translate as leave luck to heaven. Over the following years, playing cards became less popular among Japanese households, and in 1964, the value of the company's stock began to plummet from 900 to just 60 yen. Nintendo was in heavy debt, and Yamauchi was desperate to find the next big thing. So they decided to invest in new ventures, like packages of instant rice, a taxi service,
they're dumb.
The not-so-very family-friendly love hotels. Eventually, Nintendo decided to venture into the weapons business. I mean the toy market, and released Japan's first electronic toy in 1970, the Nintendo Beam Gun. This would become an ancestor to the NES Zapper that was later used in video games such as Duck Hunt. In 1972, an American company named Magnavox created the first commercial home video game console, the Magnavox Odyssey. Nintendo developed and produced
Wait, is that why Mario Odyssey is named Mario Odyssey? The answer is no.
Light gun accessory for the console. 2 years later, Nintendo also secured the rights to distribute the Magnavox Odyssey in Japan. Having witnessed firsthand how popular video games were, Nintendo began to work on building its own consoles. Nintendo's first official console was a joint effort with partner Mitsubishi. Released in 1977, it was given the unimaginative title of Color TV Game 6, with the number 6 denoting how many games could be played on it. Soon after, they also released the Color TV Game 15.
Dude, that's more than the Wii U.
Game Racing 112, Block Kazushi, and the computer TV game. It's hard to imagine that games on these consoles were really this simple. At the same time, Nintendo...
That's where gaming peaked, is right there with Pong, chat. Everyone fucking loves Pong.
It was also working on developing games for arcades, many of which would later be ported to consoles, including Donkey Kong. Mario Brothers. The company's first venture into handheld electronic gaming came in 1980 with the Game & Watch. The product derived its name from featuring just a single game, as well as a clock on an LCD screen.
Oh, that's fine then.
Game Watch. Game Watch. Game Watch.
Multiple series of Game & Watch were made, some looking drastically different, be replicated in future handheld Nintendo consoles. Until 1991,
fucking Snoopy,
Donkey Kong Jr., and Mario the Juggler. To keep gamers entertained, most games came with two modes. Game A representing the easy mode, and Game B representing a faster, harder version of the same game. The Game & Watch sold 43.4 million units worldwide.
What?
Fun fact, Gunpei Yokoi got the idea to create the Game & Watch when he saw a bored man play with his calculator in the train.
Dude, playing in the train, not the train. Shut up, bitch, dude. Not playing in the train, but what was I gonna say? Playing on your calculator in class was very fun with the TI-83.
In 1985, Nintendo really started to stand out from the crowd as they released the much-loved Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES. It was Nintendo's first home video game console released outside of Japan. A different-looking version had already been released within Japan in 1983, known as the Family Computer, or Famicom. And while some of the games and art styles varied, the consoles were essentially the same in terms of performance. To say the NES was significant is an understatement. It helped to revive the video game industry after the crash in 1983, going on to sell 62 million units
Holy
worldwide and set the record for the longest
Dude, that's more than my
surviving
merch.
video game system in history. It stayed on the American market until 1995, and in Japan, it wasn't discontinued until
Wait. I thought the longest surviving video game system in history was the Wii. Am I right on that, or am I stupid? Or is it maybe it's the most sold console of all time?
2003. Many of Nintendo's most successful game franchises were born on the NES.
Or is it the PS2?
Like Final Fantasy.
Dude, Final Fantasy also revived OTK.
Castlevania. Metroid. And The Legend of Zelda. Duck Hunt was also very popular, but the most sold game for the NES with over 40 million copies sold was, of course, Super Mario Brothers.
Super Mario Brothers, baby.
The NES was praised for its simple yet at the time innovative controller. Joysticks were the common method of control before Nintendo designed and patented
Dude,
their
the SNES
D-pad.
controller is godlike.
Even though the trend has
beat
now
this by far.
reversed, the joysticks often being preferred, D-pads were much
The PlayStation 2 controller was so comfortable, though.
better for playing 2D games like Donkey Kong.
So
Fun fact,
comfortable.
Donkey Kong was the first game that involved jumping and is therefore considered to be the first
I liked it a
true
lot.
platformer. In 1989, Nintendo offered more versatility to gamers with the handheld, brick-like Game Boy that used interchangeable cartridges. This meant that gamers could simply buy a game rather than a new device each time they wanted a different experience. Remaining
just watched this
popular
video so I could
until
brag about my
this day, the Game Boy was portable, durable, and came with hugely popular titles like Super Mario Land,
Let's open it after the video.
Kirby's Dream Land, Pokemon Red and
Oh,
Blue,
baby.
and Tetris.
I did not fuck with Tetris
Nintendo released
ever,
a
man.
compact version, the Game Boy Pocket, in 1996.
I
It
didn't
was
have
notably
this.
smaller and lighter and came in different colors. This
Did you
Game
guys have
Boy
the
had a
Pocket?
black and
I
white
didn't have it.
display rather than the green tinted
First Game Boy I
display
had
of the
was the Game Boy
original
Color.
Game Boy. The battery life, however, was decreased from 15 hours for the original to roughly 10 hours.
Wait, that's actually
2
pretty
years
good.
later, the Game Boy Light
That's better
hit
than most
shelves
iPhones.
exclusively in Japan. The Game Boy screen was difficult to see in the dark, and the Game Boy Light fixed that problem with a backlight.
There's this more nostalgic feeling than thinking about trying to play your Game Boy in the back of the car and waiting for the light posts on the streets to be able to see the game and understand what to do next.
Next came the Game Boy Color, released in 1998. It
This is
came
what I
in
had.
colorful colors, and like the name suggests, the
I actually forget which one I had.
Game Boy Color could display games in color. Many games were re-released with color, like The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening
Classic Nintendo.
and Tetris. Other games included Pokemon Gold and Silver,
I love Silver and Gold, man. I still think it's my favorite gen.
Super Mario Bros. Deluxe,
I love that shit.
and The Legend of Zelda: Oracle of Ages and Seasons. Needless to say, but the Game Boy and Game Boy Color were a massive success. In
They got
total,
silver?
118.7 million units were sold. Fun fact, in 1993, a Russian cosmonaut named Alexander Serbrov took his Game Boy to space to play Tetris. The Game Boy is said
He
to have
would play
orbited Earth
Tetris.
3,000 times and was sold at auction for $1,220.
That's it.
The
What?
much anticipated
I would've bought
successor
that.
to the NES was the SNES, released in 1991 in the United States with the new
Great
S
console.
standing
Great
for
console.
Super. Hence the Famicom, released 1 year earlier in Japan, also became the Super Famicom. The SNES was a 16-bit console that saw a significant increase in processing power, audio, and more advanced cartridges. At the time, Nintendo and Sega were going head-to-head in what is referred to as the Bit Wars, with
I love Bit
advertising
Wars.
campaigns taking jabs at each other and both claiming to have the superior console.
What Nintendo?
Eventually, Nintendo
Oh, I
got the
forgot
upper
about that.
hand and ended up outselling its closest rival with 49 million units sold compared to Sega Genesis's sales of 35 million.
Lol.
The third best-selling console at the time was the TurboGrafx 16, which lagged far behind with sales of 10 million units.
I didn't even expect that.
Games that appeared on the SNES included the first Mario Kart game, as well as sequels to popular franchises such as Final Fantasy VI.
Dude, Ninja plays this.
Super Mario World.
Ooh, the classic, baby. It's the fucking classic. It's the showman.
Super Metroid.
I never liked Metroid. I don't know why.
Donkey Kong Country.
One of my favorite games of all time. I hit my head, had a concussion, and played this game for 8
Legend of
hours.
Zelda, A Link to the Past.
Dude, my uncle wouldn't let me play this game. He's an asshole. I've never talked to him since.
The SNES controller got a makeover too, with rounded edges replacing the former rectangular design and additional buttons being added to both the front and shoulders
It looks
of the
really
gamepad.
nice. This controller's really nice.
In 1995, the Virtual Boy was released.
And
but
so was I.
It was a commercial failure. You had to put your head in a mounted display, which was like a VR headset. VR didn't add to games at all. It was just a novelty. It was also uncomfortable to
I
wear,
want that sign.
not portable, too expensive, and games were not in full color, but in black and
Wait,
red.
that looks
Those
sick.
colors were just unappealing,
That looks
especially when
sick.
compared to the colorful games in other Nintendo consoles.
I would love to play
It featured
that.
a number of games, including Mario's Tennis, Wario Land,
Wait till they get a load of me.
and 3D Tetris.
Oh my god, that was terrifying.
But those games weren't played that much since people experienced dizziness and headaches from this thing.
And now we
The
have
Virtual
VR
Boy
headsets
is one
with
of the
fucking anime leads.
worst-selling consoles of all time, with roughly 770,000 units sold. Fun fact, Nintendo claimed that a color display would have made the system too expensive and that it would result in jumpy images, so the company opted for a monochrome display.
Boo. We already know. You already know. This is the best fucking console of all time. Actually, I don't even know what to rank this as the best console of all time. It was the most innovative console of all time. It's just there. I
Nintendo
think
began
GameCube
to
is the best
face
console
tougher
still.
opposition when they released their next generation of consoles.
100 million
the Nintendo
units sold. It had to be.
64
Had
in
to be 100 million
1996. After all, they now had to compete with the very successful PlayStation,
Don't worry
which
about
had
it.
already been out
Don't
for
worry
2
about it,
years
honey.
at that point.
Don't worry about it.
Despite quadrupling their bits to 64 and outselling the Sega Saturn with sales figures of 33 million to just 9 million, the cartridge-based N64 was no match for the CD-based PlayStation,
What?
which took over the crown as market leader and sold more than double the amount of the other two combined. In a trend that still holds true for many today, Nintendo than a serious gaming
Really?
console for
Really? I didn't even have a PlayStation 1. I didn't like PlayStation games. You know why? It still holds true to how I feel today. It wasn't colorful, they were too dark, and they were scary. Crash Bandicoot, I would have fucking nightmares over that thing going to my friend's house. I couldn't deal with it. That was scary.
individuals. Nintendo's games tended to have much more cartoon-like graphics.
Oh my god. You gotta admit, Super Smash Bros. 64 was just... It's just nothing. It was such a good game, man. When you seeing the characters for the first time, when they pop out, and you're like, it was actually scary. Whenever you would get a new character unlocked, it was terrifying. You really didn't know who it was.
Fantasy-based characters compared to the added realism brought by other machines. Having said that, the N64 did take
Going to
major
your friend's
steps
house who
forward
had
in
all the
terms of
characters
modern
unlocked?
3D graphics
That
and
was
featured
me.
iconic titles
I
that are
was that
still
friend.
enjoyed today. It had a fantastic library of adventure and party games like Super Mario 64, Super Smash Bros., Pokemon Stadium,
Oh, what a good game! Pokemon Stadium 2 is better, though.
Donkey Kong 64,
I could not play this. If you
The
beat this
Legend
when
of
you're
Zelda,
a 3-year-old, you're
Ocarina
probably a
of
fucking
Time.
engineer at NASA.
Mario Kart 64,
Oh, the best, the best, the best.
and GoldenEye 007.
I never got into GoldenEye. My brother did, but he was a year older, so that meant the world. Like he liked guns and shooting. I liked Goo Goo Gaga shit.
The N64 controller was a controversial change, featuring a three-pronged
It was
design
so
with a
weird.
central joystick, D-pad, face and shoulder buttons,
Emily
plus
loved
a
it.
trigger button at the back. Fun fact, the epic multiplayer mode for GoldenEye was a last-minute addition. Developer
Thank you.
Steve Ellis had access
Thank
to the
you.
code written
Thank
for
you,
a
Steve.
single-player game and decided to turn GoldenEye into a multiplayer game within a month. So, thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Steve. Everyone say thank you.
3 years later than planned, in 2001, the Game Boy Advance hit store shelves. It had a landscape design and included shoulder buttons, which is why they called it the Advance.
Good console.
With
Great
processing
console.
power similar to that of the
my
SNES,
opinion, I think the best,
the Advance's game library was
best
full
Game
of
Boy
SNES ports, allowing gamers to play the same epic titles while on the move. This, of course, included the greats like Super Mario World, The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, and games.
So Nintendo has always just been taking the previous games and throwing them on other consoles. As you like get older, you start seeing this stuff, but when you're a kid, it just feels like they're all just there.
From the
I
Final
didn't
Fantasy
pay attention
series.
to this.
Pokemon games
Marth.
like Ruby and Sapphire were also big hits with the Advance owners.
Ruby and Sapphire,
Compact,
man.
foldable version of the Game Boy Advance came out in 2003,
They were so
known
good.
as the SP.
They were
The
so
original Game Boy Advance received complaints due to the dark screen, and
Yeah.
the SP fixed that problem.
Did you guys ever have the thing for the Game Boy Advance where it was like a small little light that would shine on your Game Boy Advance? I would keep one in the back of my car so I didn't have to do the light thing.
Using a significantly brighter LCD screen and an internal front light. It was also the first of Nintendo's
barely
handheld
worked, it really
lineup
did.
that had a rechargeable battery. The Game Boy Micro came in 2005 and was much smaller than the original. The
No.
design could be changed with interchangeable faceplates.
Fuck this shit.
The Game Boy Micro did not sell well because the Nintendo DS was
fucking
already
was,
released
baby.
at this time. In total, the Nintendo Advance family sold over 81.5 million units. A console you
Dude, the Nintendo DS was such a great console. I remember when I got it for Christmas, and the first game I played was Brainium, or whatever it was, that came with the DS. I remember feeling so smart for like 5 minutes. I was like, damn, I could become a genius with this game. It felt like when you get like a new pair of shoes, but like a day later, I never played it again, and I got Nintendogs, and I had the time of my life.
probably never heard of before is the
Brain
Pokemon
Age,
Mini,
that was-
released in 2001.
I have never seen this in my
It was
life.
the smallest game system Nintendo created and themed around the Pokemon franchise. In total, only 10 games were released for the Pokemon Mini, most of which were only available in Japan. Although it's unknown how many units were sold, the Pokemon Mini certainly wasn't a success. It was discontinued a year after its release.
Best console of all time. I don't care what the fuck you say. We are a Nintendo family. Best console of all time.
If the Nintendo 64 was up against it, then the Nintendo GameCube was even more so. Released in
just was.
2001, it was up against the PlayStation 2 and Microsoft's new system, the
We're gonna have a lot of people in here claiming the PlayStation 2 is better. Like, just throw Xbox out. We all know Xbox was not better. If you say that, you just deserve to get banned. It was not better than the GameCube or PlayStation 2. It had, like, Lego Star Wars 2 Advanced Warfighter. It had nothing, man. PlayStation 2 was good. I cannot deny it was an amazing console. It was absolutely amazing. But GameCube had Sunshine and Melee, and I think that itself makes the GameCube better. The GameCube was just such a better system for friends. And I think the reason why it's a better console is because back then, it was so reliant on friends coming over and hanging out. At least for me. Friends were always at my house. People were always coming over. PlayStation 2, you only could really play with 2 people at a time. When GameCube, it was made for friends. It was made for people to come over. And it was made for you to gloat that you're better than your friends around you. That's why I like the GameCube.
Xbox.
But PlayStation 2 was better, I think, in a lot of ways for single player.
GameCube
you had
looked
no
much
friends,
more
give me a pocket
kid-friendly and like a toy in comparison to its rivals. Despite its name, it wasn't even a cube. It measured 5.9 by 6.3 by 4.3
I thought it was
inches.
such a cool console, man.
Nintendo managed to sell 22 million GameCubes.
I can't believe it didn't
Instead
do
of
that well.
using cartridges, the system switched to using mini discs and did not use CDs or DVDs like its competitors.
I don't want to see how PS2
Whereas DVDs could store up to 8.5 gigabytes of data, the GameCube discs could only store 1.5 gigabytes. This meant that some cross-platform content had to be compressed or features removed from games entirely.
Donkey Kong!
Another major drawback was the lack of online gameplay.
No, it
Reportedly,
was
the GameCube
not.
only had 8 games with internet or local area network support.
I never in the history thought to myself, wow, I really wish I can go on the internet with this thing. Dude, it was 2004. I didn't give a fuck.
The console didn't feature an internal hard drive either and relied on the use of memory cards. Games which play
I got every character in Super Smash Bros. Melee. I had everything done in my Chow Garden. And my brother took out my memory card to put his in. My dog ate it.
Players were able to enjoy on GameCube included Super Smash Bros. Melee, The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker,
Skip.
Mario Kart Double Dash,
Oh, what a good game, man.
Super Mario Sunshine,
I still think it's one of the greatest games of all time. I'm sorry, it's got to be up there. This game, it just makes you feel better. It's no other thing to say. But there's not many games that I think just make everybody happy. This game just makes everybody happy. It's just such a well done game.
Metroid Prime, Animal Crossing,
I did not play this. I did not have the attention span.
and Luigi's Mansion.
Oh,
Managed to do so.
it worked like 1/10 of the time. It just was terrible.
2004 welcomed the arrival of the Nintendo DS. The DS standing for both Developer's System and Dual Screen, according to the company.
I never knew that.
As it featured a bottom touchscreen in addition to
Write
a
that down,
top
dual
display screen. The DS came with a stylus for finer touchscreen.
One time I was at my community pool. So everyone would go to my community pool. You might want to close your ears for this one, chap. And I was friends with all the dumbasses. Like, the really dumb kids. The dumbest ones ever. We got in trouble every day. Lifeguards were always telling us to get out of there. We were always getting grounded and then ungrounded the next day. So, one of my friend's cousins was at the pool, and it's like we would always try to impress who's the dumbest one. Who's willing to do the next dumb thing. So, we were all taking showers with L'Oreal shampoo, and we were running around the showers, right? Just being idiots. And my friend's cousin takes the DS stick and shoves it in his pee hole and had to go to the hospital. Yes. He started screaming on the top of his lungs. And keep in mind, shampoo is running down our fucking bodies. So that's not adding to it. He is screaming on the top of his lungs. His parents had to come in there and bring him to the fucking hospital. But they played Toy Story that night at the pool. So it wasn't the bad day for me.
Screen control, a built-in microphone that allowed for voice recording and voice recognition,
Yes.
as well as Wi-Fi capabilities. The cartridges were made much smaller. Games of both cartridges could be played on the DS, making it...
You guys ever play Star Fox Adventures? Star Fox Adventures got so much shit because JonTron made a video shitting on it. But before his take, he was the one back in the day with the base takes. And nowadays, he has the right-wing takes. But back in the day, people were like, oh, JonTron said it's bad. I'm going to listen to him. So everyone started hating on Star Fox Adventures. I didn't. I loved that game, man. I thought it was fun.
backwards
What was the girl's name in the... Oh, she was so fucking hot.
compatible.
I'll ask Moxie.
When playing games, one screen is used to show the main action, while the other is used for things like a map, inventory, or secondary viewpoint. Due to its unique dual screen action,
Crystal.
many new titles were unveiled by Nintendo,
It got
like
stuck in the radiator.
Nintendogs and Brain Age.
That was my
Other
game.
popular games for the DS were Super Mario 64 DS, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, and new Super Mario Brothers.
Nothing can stop you, Diamond and Pearl Pokemon.
Yay for me, Luigi!
Oh, yeah.
In keeping with tradition, a refined version of the DS came out in 2006, named the DS Lite. It was
good.
slimmer and lighter.
It was
It
good.
had a longer-lasting battery and a brighter screen. It was not the slimmest of the DS range, though, because in 2008, the new DS-i model
I
had
didn't
an
need this.
ultra-slim
I didn't buy
build,
this. I was
plus
like, all right,
larger
I'm good on the
screens.
light one, man.
It also introduced 2 digital cameras, but it wasn't backwards compatible. 1 year later, the DSi XL further improved upon the handheld
And now we're just getting out of
specifications
hand. This
by
is just
increasing
ridiculous.
the screen sizes
I might as well
once
put this
more.
thing on the ground.
It also had improved speakers and a longer battery life. The PlayStation Portable, or PSP, was
I've never told you guys this story because it actually hurts me more than the boxes, than the Super Mario 64 box. I'm gonna get some hate from this from the Nintendo community, and I deserve it. My brother had a PSP, and I would watch him play Star Wars Battlefront 2, and I'm like, wow, this is really cool, and I fucking think this is so sick. He's like, Matt, this is the future. You're gonna want to get one of these things. So I told my mom, I said, after school tomorrow, can we go to GameStop? She said, yes, we'll go to GameStop. My mom drove me in her Nissan Murano all the way over to GameStop. I go up to the guy, and I said, how much? $250. I knew the price that I would have to pay. And I said, I need to get this thing because it's the future. I didn't have all the money, though. I needed some money. I sold my GameCube. I sold all my GameCube games and all my controllers for like maybe $40, $50 of it. And I didn't get a Christmas present that year. Only a few days go by, and I realized I fucking hate the PlayStation Portable. And I went back. Of course, I threw the receipt away. So I did. It
was released in the same year as the original DS and became its main competitor.
This had to be like mid-high school, right? And like I thought she was pretty hot, and I'm trying to get with her, right? So I'm trying to like talk to this girl. We're in one of my friend's basements. I'm like snazzing her up. I'm telling her about Ice Poseidon, you know, the usual for me. And I'm with this girl, and she says, I would never fuck a guy, because she was a whore. I tried getting with sluts in high school because it's the only thing I had a chance with. She's like, I would never fuck a guy who has a dick smaller than a Wii remote. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? I went home. That thing is over 6 inches big. And I'm like, there's no way. So I called up Soda. I'm like, dude, we are in trouble, man.
Its functionality centered around the use of motion controls. The technology was innovative and unique at the time. The Wii is pronounced as
it was
Wii,
too much,
which emphasized the console is for everyone. This meant the target audience was much broader than its rivals. A staggering 102 million Wii consoles were sold, beating both the PS3 and Xbox 360.
I'm a Nintendo man. You know this. Take it out your pocket and show it. Xbox 360 was by far the better console in this generation. It just was. I still think Xbox 360 may be the best console of all time. It just was. Everyone who had the Xbox 360 was just make fun of those with the PlayStation 3. I didn't care if I had to spend $60 a year. Those memories were some of the best gaming times of my entire life. In my entire life. The PlayStation 3, my brother had it, and he switched. He got an Xbox. It was just so much better. The Wii, man, shit, the Wii, that thing had like 4 good games. It had like 4 good games. It just wasn't there. Xbox 360, it was just godlike. It was godlike. It was so much better. It really was.
Which sold 87 and 86 million units respectively.
Modern Warfare, Halo 3, those 2 things alone made Xbox 360 better. The Kinect made me really mad. I got excited for the Kinect for over 2 years. Me and Brendan would read on like Game Informer information about the Kinect. We stormed to the store, bought it, and we were like, fuck yeah, dude. We plugged this thing in. First of all, we were tired in like 2 minutes. Second of all, it was the worst thing that ever happened to me.
Specifications in terms of its processor, memory, and graphics, which wasn't even HD, were far less impressive than the competition, but those things were never intended to be the main selling point. Nintendo had reverted to selling fun.
Dude, the Red Ring of Death was part of the fun of turning on the Xbox. You didn't know what was going to happen. And then it was fun trying to like fix it. And then while you're trying to fix it, you're like, man, sometimes you got to appreciate those things you had in life, you know? And then it finally goes back after you put like 6 towels around it. And then you like click the button 4 times and you're like, man, I'm happy now.
Memorable games from the Wii lineup are Wii Sports.
This is one of the 4.
New Super Mario Bros. Wii.
Oh yeah.
Mario time.
Mario Kart Wii.
It was good.
Super Mario Galaxy. And The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess.
I didn't play
Besides the original Wii, Nintendo also
notice how he only named 4 games.
Released the Wii Family Edition in 2009, which sits horizontally and is cheaper since it was sold for $149.
I didn't even know about
$249 for the original Wii.
I gotta buy that.
In 2012, Nintendo also released the Wii Mini exclusively in Canada for $99 Canadian, which is about $78 US.
Wait, that's cheap.
The Wii Remote is the primary.
You guys remember the craze of the Wii? How your parents had to like run to the stores and try to get it, and they were going on eBay for like $2,000 at the time. $2,000 these consoles were going for. It was the first of any console to do that kind of shit. It blew the fuck up. It sold out everywhere. Everywhere. My mom waited in line at 6 in the morning and got it. I remember that.
Controller for the Wii. It uses Bluetooth and features a D-pad, buttons, and an internal speaker. The Nunchuck is an additional controller that can be connected to the Wii Remote and has an analog stick and 2 trigger buttons. Additional accessories for the console were also popular, like the Wii Balance Board.
Oh, this thing
board
was
designed
dumb.
for use with exercise and sports games,
Bro,
like
it did
Wii Fit.
fucking
The
calm
Wii
down,
Balance Board
Nintendo.
sold 42 million units alone.
What the fuck?
Fun fact, the board
And I bet you 42 million of those were never used. Okay, they were used for like 1 week, and then people got lazy, and they put them in like the fucking garage.
achieved a Guinness World Record for the best-selling waiting device.
Ah, the
Nintendo
3DS.
next introduced 3D gameplay to their DS models. Regarded as a brand new console, the Nintendo 3DS was released in 2011.
I'm not gonna lie to you. At this point, I stopped buying these kind of consoles because I just didn't care. I was very focused on my Xbox 360 days, and I didn't really give a flying fuck about the Nintendo 3DS.
Bottom screen was a touch similar to the one seen
I
in
didn't buy
former
this.
DS
Didn't
models.
care.
However, the top screen was wide with better graphics.
Also, here, I was addicted to World of Warcraft, painfully addicted, so I gave 2 fucks about anything.
And had an auto-stereoscopic need of 3D glasses.
Oh, this shit was
the
so
console
dumb.
itself had multiple cameras, a
Serve an appreciation thread for a lifetime. One of their best-selling games. And the fact that what they did is that they made it so only one of your friends had to have it. I don't know if you know that, chat. Only one of your friends needed to have this game, and then everyone else was allowed to play on it. Everyone else. You could have, like, it was like 6 or different people, and only one person needed it. One person. That itself made me love Nintendo again. For a while, I was like, meh. But then they did that. I'm like, damn. You guys care. That's good shit.
Pokemon X and Y.
Oh, I gave up on Pokemon right here.
New Super Mario Bros. 2. And Animal Crossing.
I didn't have Michaela to call. I didn't play this game.
More models of the 3DS were released.
Bro, that's a
in
movie theater.
2012 came the 3DS XL, which had
The
much
fuck?
larger screens and an improved battery life. Nintendo released a 2DS version
Oh,
in
this thing
2013, taking away the 3D graphics but making it more affordable. The new Nintendo 3DS was introduced in 2014. It fixed the problem that you had to face your 3DS directly from the front, or else the 3D effect would become blurry. It also had a more powerful processor and additional shoulder buttons.
All
At
right,
the same
I'm
time, a
listening.
larger version, the new Nintendo 3DS XL was introduced.
Man, they just don't
And
quit.
finally, in 2017, Nintendo made the new Nintendo 2DS XL, featuring additional hardware features,
I don't
but
know.
without the 3D functionality. To date, the total sales of the 3DS and
200
2DS
million.
handheld consoles are 75.8 million.
I really let that down.
The Wii U
Here we go. I was so excited for this console, man. I really was.
was released in 2012 and was one of Nintendo's bad marketing.
Yeah.
People were confused about whether it was a new console or just an accessory for the Wii, and it's easy to understand why if you look at the trailer of the Wii U. They literally named it the new controller. The Wii U
What?
wasn't the greatest name either, since it just sounds like a Wii accessory.
That's true.
This
I
could have
never
been
thought about
avoided
that like that.
easily if they chose to name it the Wii 2. Oh, and the ads were pretty bad too.
Hot buttered popcorn, that's a deal.
Up against the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, of which 110 million and an estimated 50 million were sold respectively.
I stopped here with console gaming as well. I really, right here in my life, I just focused on World of Warcraft, and this is where I ventured into gaming on the console. Or not console, on the computer. I kind of gave up on it. PlayStation 4, I just didn't give a fuck. And Xbox One, you can eat my ass. Anyone that says the Xbox One was the GOAT or whatever, it was just used for Netflix. Don't even try it.
Respectively, the Wii U only sold 13 million units.
Wow.
It was a huge disappointment after the grand success of the Wii. The Wii U was the first Nintendo console to support HD graphics,
The best
and
Mario
those
Kart
who
of all
did
time.
buy it were able to play Mario Kart 8. Super Mario 3D World.
This game was fun as fuck, though. Really good game. Like, I honestly...
Splatoon.
Now that's the GOAT. This is the GOAT.
Super Mario Maker,
I didn't play this. People love this
and
shit.
new Super Mario Brothers for you.
Hot.
The Wii U gamepad is the console's primary controller and has a built-in touchscreen, which can be used without a television or as a
Embarrassing.
companion to games being played on the television. The concept of having a hybrid console of both a standard and handheld console was there, but there was a lot of work ahead to make it more appealing.
Too much. It was too
Nintendo
much.
brought back the NES with the NES Classic Edition in 2016. While it looks the same as the NES, it is much smaller. It includes 30 built-in games from the NES
they were gonna say
library,
30 billion
including
games.
Mario Brothers, Pac-Man,
Pac-Man.
and Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong.
In 2017, Nintendo also released the Super NES Classic. It includes 21 built-in games from the SNES,
21.
including Back to the Drawing Board, and refined their hybrid concept until they released the Nintendo Switch in 2017.
I think the Nintendo Switch is the best console ever made for the Nintendo. The only problem I have with the Switch, it's so well done. You can handheld it, you could go around with it. It's fun as fuck. It's so well done. It's easy to access. I just hate this controller. The Joy-Cons are fucking garbage. They're absolutely garbage. I don't know if anyone has ever had a Joy-Con or this problem, but like it always sways to the left or the right. The analog sticks always get fucked up. They're garbage, man.
It features 2 Joy-Con controllers that can be attached to the 6.2-inch touchscreen
I had to buy
display to
3
play it
different
in
ones.
hybrid mode. It has a battery life of around 3 hours of uninterrupted play on a full charge. The Switch has many amazing popular titles like Animal Crossing, New Horizons,
Amazing.
Super Smash Bros. Ultimate,
Amazing.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe,
The best, wait, look at that. I never saw that before because I'm usually in first. Wait, never mind. I'm usually in 12th.
Splatoon 2,
Next. Why is this on the list?
Super Mario Odyssey,
It's a good system, champ.
my personal favorite, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Garbage. Garbage. Hassan didn't even beat this game.
A more affordable, light version of the Switch came out in 2019 with the limitation that it can only be played as a portable device. It can still play pretty
All right.
much all of the
Judging by all the question marks, this game is one of the best games of all time.
same games as its older brother, though, except for a few games like Ring Fit Adventure and Super Mario Party, since they are largely motion.
Now, when they come out with the new Mario Party that's coming out in October, which features 100 of the mini games from some of the best Mario parties, I will say the Switch is better than the Wii U and the Wii. I truly do believe it has potential to be one of the best consoles. It will never stand to be better than the GameCube, though. Not even close.
Control base. So far, sales of the Nintendo Switch and Switch Lite have surpassed 61.4 million,
Not bad.
making it the 7th most sold handheld console. In 2020, Nintendo released a special version of
This
the
shit is
Game
dumb.
& Watch. It celebrates the 40-year anniversary of the Game & Watch line of systems, as well as the 35th anniversary of Super Mario Brothers. Going forward, it'll be souls. One thing is for sure, Nintendo isn't afraid to get creative and introduce
do like that about
exciting new
Nintendo.
technology.
Yes.
Let's hope Nintendo can continue creating innovative
And I understand why they don't want to take risks, because the reality is they don't need to. They could just keep coasting and making as much money as they do. I like Nintendo because the fact that they are willing to take risks. There are ups, there are downs. There's been a lot of downs for the past decade. But maybe one day there'll finally be some ups.